Can you really manage time? No matter what you do, there are 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, and 52 weeks in a year. To put this in an academic perspective, you have 168 hours a week to juggle your activities. This may include classes, work, and family obligations. We haven't mentioned time spent on studying for those classes you attended, things you do for fun, time wasters, other activities that eat away at our time, like commuting to and from class, work and errands, to eating and getting ready for the day. These all take time and eat away at those 168 hours. Really, you are managing activities and what you do with your time. Really, the goal is to effectively and efficiently manage tasks. When you are juggling a number of responsibilities, you will need to determine your priorities. What is important to understand is that priorities are fluid. They need to be flexible and changeable on a moment's notice. We have all had that circumstance where we had a plan to complete a project or sit down and finish homework when something comes up. Now, all plans have shifted and you have to focus on the new priority. Are you even thinking about when you will get back to that homework? Will you have time to get back to that homework? By understanding how to effectively plan and manage your tasks, you will almost always be able to work with a plan B, unless there are really extraordinary circumstances. It is important that you are realistic in making choices if you have multiple obligations, and to modify and adapt as required. One semester you may be able to pursue full-time coursework, where another semester income may be more necessary than education, and either a reduced course load or skipping a semester may be necessary. It is important to realize that this is not a failure, laziness, or should signal that it's time to quit pursuing school. Effective planning and constant reevaluation of your goals is important to successfully completing a program, and obstacles can be overcome by being flexible and consulting with the available resources such as academic advisors. Understanding motivation. Time management is a very personal skill. Each person handles or mishandles this skill in a very individual way. There are several ideas to consider when thinking about the concept of time management. Things like required tasks, obligations, determining the importance and urgency of the task, individual organizational skills, and your individual concept of time, like punctuality, deadlines, skills of time estimation and assessment. The old proverb of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy holds credence. When a person feels that they have no opportunity to take a break from either a mentally or physically challenging or exhausting task, he gets frustrated and loses motivation. On the contrary, when a person spends a great deal of time on an unproductive task, there's usually a lack of incentive and motivation, which contributes to laziness, complacency, and apathy, which lead to an increased loss of motivation. If there's no meaning or value to completion of a task, the sense of urgency and importance quickly decrease. This is where the value of time comes into play. When an individual recognizes that there are a variety of values related to time, there's an increased sense of motivation. Another saying, "Time is money," is an example of this perspective. Depending on whether or not a person is extrinsically or intrinsically motivated will drive the incentive that draws him or her to the task. Extrinsic motivation occurs when we are motivated to perform a behavior or engage in an activity in order to earn a reward or avoid a punishment. Examples include studying because you want to get a good grade, doing the dishes to avoid being nagged by your roommate, or participating in a sport in order to win awards. Intrinsic motivation involves engaging in a behavior because it is personally rewarding, or participating in an activity for its own sake, rather than the desire for some external reward. Examples include participating in a sport because you find the activity enjoyable, reading a book because you're interested in the subject, playing a game because you find it exciting, or completing a task because you feel proud of accomplishing a goal. Prioritizing tasks is a result of identifying whether the activity is required or desired, and the level of motivation one has to maximize performance within that task. There are a number of strategies suggested for prioritization. One of the simplest is making a list of tasks and creating a to-do list. Once completing the list, rate each item as either 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C. Then complete the tasks in order of prioritization. Work off all of the 1s, 2s, then 3s, or A's, B's, then C's. Steve Piscatelli, the author of Choices for College Success, refers to this as working your A's off. This is helpful if you're willing to commit the time to make the list and have organizational skills. Motivation is also unique to the individual and the situation. When you understand your motivation, you can determine why you behave in the manner that you do and have the attitude towards the task that you do. When you recognize how you operate, more from personal satisfaction or from the need for outside approval or reward, the more you will understand your approach to tasks, such as completing homework, studying for an exam, or preparing for a long-range project. The difference between short-term goals and long-term goals is not always easily identified. A long-term goal is not necessarily a bigger goal. It is a goal that requires more time or effort to accomplish. A short-term goal is not necessarily easier. It is a goal that has a briefer time frame and may involve less complexity. Long-term goals are made up of a fabric of short-term goals. These short-term goals are interwoven across many facets of the long-term goal. Every effort, or lack thereof, in a semester will impact the eventual final outcome, whether that's the grade for the class or the completion of a degree. Skipping class, failing to submit homework, cramming, and not seeking help when you're struggling from your instructors or the material all affect the result or goal for the course. For most students, that is earning a passing grade to meet a requirement. Those who want to pursue scholarships, competitive degrees, or plan to transfer to a competitive school, GPA is important and there is no changing a mediocre effort after the fact. Goals should be clear, and all of the factors that contribute to that goal need to be considered. An example is a student we will call Pat. Pat didn't want to take the student life skills class that dealt with personal development and study skills, but ended up taking it anyhow. He didn't take it seriously because the content was so easy. It wasn't worth the effort. After blowing off several classes and not turning in several assignments, Pat passed the course, but with a grade of a C. That semester, he didn't care because he passed the class and earned an A in his other 2 classes, so that was good enough. Pat was pursuing nursing. He had lost his mom recently and saw what great care she received from her nurses, and he found his calling. The next 2 semesters, he took his nursing prerequisites. When it came time to submit his application, he had a cumulative GPA of 3.4. That is a decent GPA, and he is in competition with others who can have as low as a 3.0 GPA, the minimum to get in. He felt confident about his chances. 2 weeks later, he received a rejection letter from the nursing department. They thanked him for his interest, but they had a large pool of applicants with high GPAs, and the lowest GPA accepted was a 3.45. He missed getting in by 5/100ths of a point. Had he only earned a B in his student life skills class, he could have potentially been accepted. It may seem far-fetched, but these kinds of situations occur all of the time, and it all goes back to the choices made in that first semester class. Go to class, don't go to class. Do the homework, don't do the homework. Those choices affect future goals. If you are unsure how to set goals, visit the Academic Support Center or School of Student Life Skills website, where you can find a number of links that can help you better understand motivation, goal setting, and creating priorities.